thing I really enjoy is snorkeling, and I hope that if you haven't already done it, that as you get older you'll want to do this too. You've got to be able to swim first, and then you can really enjoy the undersea environment, seeing all the fish, which is a beautiful thing. So I want us to follow on from what we saw last time, looking at creation and how those people who believe in God, like Christians, Jewish people, and Muslims and many other different faiths, believe that there is a creator, someone who has made everything around us. And for Christians in the Bible, it says this: "How many are your works, Lord? In wisdom you made them all. The earth is full of your riches. There is the sea, vast and spacious, teeming with creatures beyond number." And that's from Psalm 104, verses 24 and 25. And it says there is the sea, vast and spacious, teeming with creatures beyond number. So I want us just to take a few moments to think about fish. Now, I don't know if you keep fish at home, but I have goldfish at home in a tank, but I used to keep tropical fish. And I was never quite brave enough to keep saltwater fish because that requires a lot of care. And maybe some of you have some marine fish, some saltwater fish at home. But fish can really show you the amazing wisdom of God and variety that he wants there to be in this earth. Just like we all have different faces and we all look different, God has made each different kind of species of fish to have different characteristics, different things about them that make us say, wow, isn't that amazing? Now, if I were God, I would say, well, maybe the codfish. Most of us have eaten cod and chips. But here is a picture of a cod. And you'd say, well, that's the basic design of a fish. If it works, if their fins get them along and they're able to breathe underwater, then that's fine. Just stick to that and have maybe different colours, different sizes. But God has gone much further than that. He's made fish that are out of this world, it seems to me. Like the Macropinna fish. If you were to go down about 500 meters or deeper, which is very, very deep, you might come across a Macropinna, and it has this see-through dome of a head and two big green eyes looking upwards. And that's how God made it, so that we can see into its head. So it's like a space creature that is swimming in the deep. Then we have the sunfish, which is a big fish with a fin at the top and a fin at the bottom. We have the puffer fish, which is a fish which, if another big fish comes and swallows it, it swells up into a ball and becomes like a football. Then we have a fish that looks like it's flying, the stingray. We have eels, which look out of this world as well. And then we have other kinds of sea creatures. And here is a mantis shrimp, and this is a brightly coloured one. And the mantis shrimp is really, really amazing, because this shrimp has these big claws, and in order to eat, it usually breaks the shell of some kind of creature to eat the creature inside. And it doesn't just knock it like a hammer. It has a kind of swing to its claw, which is so powerful that the sea around it boils and actually becomes full of bubbles that are hot. And also, if it was dark, suddenly the sea would become light around it. And it just changes, suddenly it changes all the properties of the water. And so powerful is that punch that even if it misses what it's aiming at, there's a shock wave which will injure its prey, and then it can eat it. And not many people keep mantis shrimps in tanks because, of course, they can hit hard enough to break the glass. And you don't really want to come home to a tank where all the water is on the floor. So that's a mantis shrimp. And then we have the turritopsis. Now, When you get to my age, you sometimes think, oh, it'd be lovely to be young again. I'd like to be in my 20s again, maybe. Well, the Toratopsis jellyfish is able to become young. Some people say when it gets stressed, it decides it wants to be younger, and it's able to go back to an earlier stage in its development. God has made it with that ability. And some people call it the immortal jellyfish because they can keep turning young again. And then, of course, there are other creatures in the sea that aren't even fish at all, although they look like fish, like dolphins. And they just seem to be playing in the sea. They jump out of the water. They come alongside boats. They love to interact with with people and with other creatures. And they're really, really beautiful. All of us, I think, love dolphins. And now I want to just come to some of the creatures that I used to keep in my fish tank when I had tropical fish. Here are the Neon Tetra, and they look like they've got light bulbs inside them, just like a neon light, just like a strip light that you might have in your classroom. They have these beautiful lights inside them that shine and show up when light is on them. They just reflect the light back. And then, of course, there's angelfish, made so beautiful and so graceful to swim through the water. And another fish that I used to like to keep was the Flamingo Guppy. And here's one of them, and they look like flamingo dancers. And this kind of fish is quite easy to breed in captivity. So lots of people try and breed guppies and have little baby fish called fry, which are born. So there's just some of the fish that God has made, and they're wonderful. Now I know there's one that's missing that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's one that you might find a little bit scary. In fact, I would too. And that, of course, is this one right here. So I'll be back in a moment. So let's just remind ourselves of what it says in Psalm 104. It says, "There is the sea, vast and spacious, teeming with creatures beyond number." And it's so beautiful to think of the ocean full of all of this life. And we want to protect the oceans. And I hope you're doing your part as I try and do my part so that we are protecting the planet that God has made, this beautiful earth that He has given to us. And I hope that as you get older, you'll want to one day explore some of the oceans, maybe just in your own way with your mask and snorkel, and to swim around and look at some of these wonderful creatures that God has made. To a Christian, all of these different shapes and sizes of fish all point to a God who doesn't just make things one way, He makes them in such a variety of ways. As it says there in Psalm 104, the earth is full of your riches. So thank you very much for listening.